you're everyone. I'm Wally, and the rest of the listeners are Brennan, and we're roasting chips, yes.
Now we're back.
Now we're back. Cool. It's a
Hello,
countdown
everyone.
now for
Yeah,
recording.
we got
Hello.
a thing, and we're trying something new here, everyone.
Yes, we
So
are.
because Zoom wasn't working, it was not working for us.
Mm-mm.
So we're gonna try
Zoom,
something
we
new.
are canceling our sponsorship deal with you now. We tried our hardest.
Yep, yep. But so we're gonna have a bit of a shorter podcast today because Brennan does not have as much time as he expected. So we're just gonna get
Yes.
right into it. We're gonna talk news and Shang-Chi. If we got
Yep.
time, we'll talk visions. But
We're gonna have the episode of the podcast we talked about having last week,
oh
this
yeah,
week, and then the one we
yeah.
talked about having this week, next week.
Yeah, we're sorry. Didn't we? It slipped my mind. I was busy all Saturday, all Sunday, and this week was just a mess for me. So,
We're just
um,
glad we have the greatest fan base in the world that is patient, that won't fill up our inbox with hate comments like "Where
exactly,
were you?"
exactly.
Last week. So thank you for working with us here, and here's the episode that we promised, primarily focusing on Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
Yeah, we'll get there. But first, we got some news. And that
Yes.
we got it's short news this week because I didn't pay attention to anything. Because, like I said, I was super busy. An actor for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, his name is Sung Kang, accidentally let it slip a hint slip that which character he's portraying. And basically, he was doing an interview and he's talking about the helicopter sabers and how he's like, "Wow, I can't believe these are real." So it's some people were speculating that it pretty much that it confirms that he'll be the fifth brother. Um, which has been the rumor for a while. He's one of the Inquisitors from Rebels.
Oh, all right. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So
Sweet.
that was cool. Apparently, and this is another set of news. Well, it's the next thing. Apparently, Ian McGregor he did an interview at the Emmys, Oscars, whatever. I get them all mixed
Award
up.
show.
Yeah, and he confirmed that Obi Wan Kenobi has finished filming, and he was trying very hard not to spoil it during his interview. And he said the show will not be disappointing. Now that sounds
Okay.
bad, but the way he said it, he was just like he was trying to keep it all inside. He seemed really excited, so
Okay. I'm
that's
looking
that's
forward to
good.
that.
Yeah, I that happened a lot sooner than I was expecting it to. I didn't expect it to be done filming already.
Now, the release date for that is still just somewhere in 2022, right? Like it
I
hasn't
guess
narrowed
so. Yeah,
down at all.
I
Okay.
guess so. I'm assuming so, because like they have a bunch of new technology now. They don't have to use as much CGI, so that they can go in and get it done relatively quick. I mean, Book of Boba Fett, I think, finished filming in January, maybe it's March. I don't know, somewhere like between January and March. Maybe not that early, but and then that was out in that comes out in December. So, you know,
All
I'm
right.
guessing like 9 to 11 months it'll take to
Wow.
edit and stuff. So probably sometime mid
I
next year.
yeah, I guess we'll just have to see
Yeah,
how all that ends up going down. I just know the last I checked, it said like, and this wasn't any time recent, but it was just like 2022, the
hmm
year, no specific month or season, anything like that. So
right.
we'll still have to hold on out because we still do have the Book of Boba Fett. And is the Mandalorian season supposed to come out before or after Obi-Wan?
I have no idea what that one either. I want to. I Part of me wanted to say it comes out after Book of Boba Fett, maybe. I have no idea. I don't. It's just a speculation. I think it's also supposed to come
Okay.
out in 2022. I think really the only thing we don't know is Ahsoka when that comes out, like a
I
year, because
forgot
I
about
don't I
that.
don't think we have a year for Ahsoka yet.
Yeah, no.
But that's all we have got for Star Wars news. In terms of Marvel news, an image
Marvel.
of Tom Hardy, who plays Venom, has surfaced of him wearing a Spider-Man No Way Home hat. Could that mean the scene in the No Way Home trailer that everyone thought it was the Lizard? Could that have been Venom? We won't know.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It's
maybe he's just doing it because he got a free hat.
I will say this was sus hiding for a while, but now like every other piece of like, oh, this actor is going to be in
Right.
here, this character. I'm like, okay, this is going a little too far.
Yeah,
I
I
feel like, and it doesn't help that Marvel's having everyone like deny their role or involvement
right,
because it's like
right.
it's just like what's got like I wish there'd be like I wish they would just come forward with a trailer where it's like, okay, these characters
Or
will be in here and these won't, but then it'll like spoil any kind of reveal. But
right,
also,
right, right.
it's getting to the point where I feel like people are going to be disappointed, uh, no matter what,
Hmm.
because everyone's hoping that their favorite character will be in there, and then when they go to the theaters and find out that it's only my favorite characters who are in there, it'll be just a letdown.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd be okay with your favorite character being in it because that's also my favorite character. So I'd be okay.
Yes.
I mean, I've been saying this for months that I didn't want the multiverse. I'm kind of already sick of the multiverse, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just like I'm excited for the potential of the multiverse, but I feel like they're gonna try to cram way too much into Spider-Man. And I've heard them talk.
Yeah.
I've heard in news whatever Spider-Man's talked about it as like a super ambitious standalone superhero film, but it does not sound like it'll be standalone at
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 all.
all.
Right.
So
Right. Who knows? Maybe it's just because everyone keeps speculating and shit. I'm just tired of it. Maybe that's
mhm.
why I'm sick of the multiverse already.
Still excited for the movie, but I wish
Oh yeah.
we just wouldn't hear any more news about it until we get like another trailer or something. But stop
Yeah.
pretending that every character is going to be in there, because if that is true, then oh my god, it's
Right.
gonna be horrifying.
Yeah. I see. This is almost like a movie like this would almost be better without the internet, because we didn't
Yeah,
have 10,000 people shoving down their theories.
yeah,
But anyway, Marvel's New Warriors show, which we talked about like early in this podcast, it was supposed to go on Freeform. Uh, it has been officially canceled. Set photos have been leaked, and we got a few looks at Melina Vaintrub, who is the AT&T girl, uh, as
oh,
Squirrel Girl. She's supposed to be Squirrel
oh,
Girl. So like they had
oh
it filmed
wow,
and everything, but like they canceled it, or maybe
oh
they had a
really?
pilot filmed
Why?
or something. I don't know. I guess it just didn't fit with what Marvel was doing right now.
Dang, and was it supposed to be like like a canon show, or how was it related to
Um,
the MCU? Was it just kind
I
of?
don't
I
know.
know
It
that Marvel has had it like it's like offshoots recently. So was
mhm,
it just like an offshoot, or was
might
it
have been.
uh,
Well,
tied
what
in?
well what is canon anymore? I mean, really.
That's a good point.
um, it's just getting confusing at this point. I'm tired of people arguing about it. Um, but anyway, we got a trailer for Hitmonkey, the Hulu
Yes,
animated series.
yes,
And in the trailer we saw Lady Bullseye, so she'll be in it. That'll be fun, which means it'll open up a lot. Hitmonkey is an underrated character in the comics. I don't know much about him, but it's a monkey who is a hitman. I don't
yes.
know how you can't like that.
Hit Monkey.
It's an
Yeah, like
interesting concept.
yeah, and the trailer looked really solid too. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if I like the style. I'm not sure if I'll uh if I just like the idea right now, or if I'll
Hmm.
check out the show or not. Like I know for uh
Modoc.
Modoc, yeah, yeah, that I like the first time I saw anything, I was like, oh, this is going to be neat. I would like to see this. And as soon as I started seeing
Hmm.
trailers and more stuff, but I was like, I'm not
Interested.
checking this out here.
Yeah.
So like Hitmonkey, like uh, Hitmonkey would be a fantastic character to see like in the live action MCU, because
Oh
it'd just
yeah.
be so incredibly just outside of like anything.
Him and Deadpool.
Uh, yeah, oh yeah. We'll just have to see if like how well this show is done as a cartoon as is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and Modoc. I feel like I had no interest in that show at all. Like, I mean, when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, maybe that sounds cool. And then, like you said, I saw ads for it. I was like, I
Yeah,
don't know. But I feel like they had to do that with Modoc because he's just not viable in the MCU.
yeah.
And I think, I mean, he deserves something. I mean, he's a cool
It
villain.
would,
He's just,
it would be so weird seeing Modoc like a live
yeah,
action, and the because you just can't do that. Like, what is he?
right, right. And I mean, they tried it with who's that guy on the computer from not Civil War,
Yeah,
Winter Soldier.
from the it was the dude from the first Captain America movie. I don't
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
his
yeah.
name, but he's like
What?
the scientist guy. I initially
Right.
thought he was supposed to be Modoc when I first saw him, and I
Okay.
learned that he was not.
Right.
Um,
But he was originally supposed to be um or like in the comics he's like this big like he's like a screen that walks around and stuff.
oh,
And
interesting.
but they did the best that they could putting him in the MCU, and I would just be worried about them trying to do the same thing with Modoc, just like scale down his character immensely. So
Yeah,
um they had to give him something. I'm glad he got something, but it just doesn't look good.
yeah,
Unlike Hitmonkey, which I think looks better. I mean, I don't know if it'll be better, but
yeah.
um Disney Plus announced that on November 12th, which is the anniversary of the initial launch in 2018 or 19. I think it was 19. It will release it will release all of its movies currently in theaters, and it will include a few. It will include Star Wars and Marvel special looks. So we'll get maybe some news on Andor. I forgot that was a
Interesting.
show too. I forgot that existed for Star Wars. But yeah, and maybe we'll get that no way home thing. No, we can't because it's Disney Plus. They won't do that. We'll get looks at some stuff. Maybe we'll get a date for um Mrs. Marvel, Miss Marvel.
Oh yeah, that'd be great because it's still this weird this like limbo stage where all of the announcement sites like I checked Disney's official sites, Marvel's official sites, and it still lists Miss Marvel as having a 2021 uh, release date. But obviously we haven't seen anything from it. And I saw like an article claiming that it had been delayed to 2022. But if
Mm-hmm.
that's true, then why hasn't Marvel
Said
announced
anything?
that
Yeah.
yet in a more formal way? Because that article was like from August, still almost at
Mm-hmm.
the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's site, Disney's site, still lists it as having a 2021 release. So
Right.
it'll just be interesting to see how this goes. Because I mean, we've gotten trailers basically all the way throughout the end of the year. Because with Eternals, then Hawkeye, then Spider Man, like we know we've seen stuff from all those, and still haven't seen a single thing from Miss Marvel.
Sorry, I had to cough real quick. Um, yeah, and then
Unacceptable.
and finally, last piece of news. Last piece of news. The cast for the animated Super Mario Brothers movie was announced.
Oh, yeah.
It's got the internet in shambles. So we'll go along with I'll list them all. I'll save the one that's most controversial for last. But Anya Taylor Joy was cast as Peach. I don't know who that is, but she looks the part. Not that she has to. It's an animated movie. Seth Rogen will be Donkey Kong, which was a weird one. Jack Black will be Bowser.
I
Charlie
liked
Day.
that one.
Yeah, that one made a ton of sense. Charlie Day will be Luigi. And Keegan Michael Key will be Toad.
Mhm.
Fred
That's all
Armisen.
of them. That's all the
No,
Mario
there were
characters.
no, there were
Oh,
two more.
oh yeah.
Fred Armisen will play Cranky Kong, and Kevin Michael Richardson will be Kamek, and Sebastian
Oh,
Maniscalco will be Spike, and the current voice of Mario will also make a cameo appearance in
yes.
and it's slated for 2022 holidays. One sec.
And that's all of the Mario characters. There's nobody else in the Mario universe who we're forgetting to name. There's nobody else. So the casting
Uh,
decisions that were announced.
so yeah, this is where the controversy comes in. Chris Pratt was cast as Mario. People
Yeah.
not happy about that one.
It's kind of like an interesting choice because I don't know. There are a lot of people who are like, oh, big names celebrities shouldn't take the place of voice actors. And I think this role could
I've
have
seen
gone
that.
to
Yeah,
a professional voice actor. I definitely think that's a very valid critique against Hollywood as a whole because I know that in a lot of animated stuff they'll just hire big name celebrities, for whatever. But like in this case, Chris Pratt has had voice acting experience before. I mean, he's
the
done
Lego
other
Movie.
movies. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Where
think
he's,
that's
he's
why he got
voicing,
this.
not
Mhm.
live action characters, but just him voicing Mario
Yeah,
it seems
it's
so bizarre.
I, I think Charlie Day is a weird one too as Luigi. It makes a little
Yeah, I
bit more
mean,
sense as
most of these
Chris Pratt, but I think because
most of these are
everyone
just kind
likes
of
Charlie
weird.
Day, I think because everyone likes Charlie Day that he's like at the backlash because Chris Pratt has had questionable things said about him, and he's shown
Yeah,
not expressed questionable issue. Never mind. It's long and complicated. I don't want to get into it, but um, you can't pick Mario and Luigi. Um, I don't know. It's weird. Both
yeah,
the castings
yeah.
were.
A lot of the one of the biggest weird things for me is like, why are they making a Mario movie at all right now? Like, what drove them to do that? What keeps driving like Nintendo just to make movies here?
Well, they made the one in the 90s, and then it took
Oh
them
yeah,
another 20 years to make another
oh yeah.
one.
No,
They figured
and
this would go over better.
the one in the '90s was perfect. The reason it took them so long is because they were afraid of tarnishing their reputation with a created for themselves,
Oh
like the
yeah,
first Mario movie.
that movie was it exists. Unfortunately, it's not a good movie. It's
Yeah,
not a good movie. But I mean,
it's
they made uh cartoons for years. Like me and my brother used to rent them from the Red Box and stuff.
yeah,
But
it
yeah, I guess someone gave them a lot of money and was like, "Here, we'll make a movie." And they're like, "Okay."
it it kind of seems like a cash grab, and it kind of seems,
Oh yeah,
especially with them casting Chris Pratt, that it won't end well.
yeah. Well, at least they do have a at least one voice actor, like someone who's known for their voice acting, Kevin Michael Richardson. Um, you would know him if you looked him up. He's like a major part of our childhood and stuff like that with the cartoons
Oh,
and stuff.
sweet.
Um, so at least there is. But yeah, if you and they even have the guy from Mario in it. Like the voice
Yeah,
of Mario's in it, just not as Mario. It doesn't make any sense.
yeah. Which seems that especially seems like an odd choice. How you're gonna have the guy who's voiced Mario forever as a cameo in the Mario movie when somebody else is voicing Mario.
Yeah,
The only reason I could think of them doing that, because I know that being the voice in Mario, even though Mario has had a lot of games where he's had a lot of dialogue and back and forth, there still is a difference between that and like voicing him for an entire movie. So if it's just too ambitious of a project, and if they offered him the role first and he was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that, then that's understandable. I get, him maybe not wanting to voice
right.
Mario, but giving the role to Chris Pratt, even in that light, makes zero sense.
Keegan Michael Richardson was Bubbles, the agent from Lilo and Stitch,
Oh,
and also the big gray alien guy. He was both
nice.
of them. So in case you didn't were unaware, but
I
that's all the news I have.
I
It only
was I
took
was
15
unaware.
minutes or 17 minutes. But so
Nice.
you ready to talk about Shang-Chi?
Yeah,
All right.
let's dive right into it.
Spoilers ahead,
Yep.
just so everyone knows. Because
Hmm.
so let me also get the record straight. I saw this movie like 3 weeks ago. I don't remember
Same.
this movie as well as I
I
did.
I'm
Um,
hoping I remember enough of this movie.
yeah, no, I do too. I mean, I should be okay.
I'm hoping so.
uh,
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna do a recap or anything. I think we should just straight up talk about
Sure, sure.
what we thought about the movie.
What
Um,
we'll probably do is we'll probably start off talking just in general, then we'll kind of get into a recap anyway. 'Cause I kind of feel like that's not what happens, and that's
yeah,
kind of
that's
what
true.
has suited us best here. But
What?
first, let's definitely start off with uh, general thoughts of what we
Mhm,
think about it as a whole.
for sure, for sure. Um, I really like this movie.
Yes.
If we were to go back and redo our top whatever, like so top five Marvel movies we did or whatever, this would be in it for sure.
Oh yes.
This movie was worth the hype.
Hmm.
It was so good. The music was awesome, and the cinematography was awesome. Uh, yeah, it was an awesome movie.
For when we did the list, it was actually the top three Marvel movies what we
Oh,
named, and my top
I
three
don't think mine would have
in no
changed.
particular order. In no particular order were Infinity War, Spider-Man: Homecoming, and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Hmm.
And those would still stay the top three,
Yeah,
but
mine would
Shang-Chi
too.
would definitely be number four, no contest, no question.
Hmm.
I mean, I still need to watch it again to make sure my feelings with associated with my initial viewing are accurate still.
Oh, good.
But
You'll have
as
a
of right now,
chance.
still after having looked back
Hmm.
over scenes and stuff, I still like it a whole lot. Even though I do have some qualms with a couple of things towards the end, I'll get into all of that. But
Hmm.
this would still be number four.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
great!
the same way. What?
Uh, the website just gave me some pop up like the software we're using to record. It was like, you've run out of space. It's apparently it's trying to save it on to my hard drive too. I'm apparently don't have enough space on my hard
Oh,
drive. So, oh well. Well, it looks like looks like it'll be up to you here to make sure
that's
this
fine.
podcast actually gets out
That's
in
fine.
the world. My computer's tried, but it can go no farther.
That's fine. Um, I hope mine it records still.
Oh wow, it's really trying. It was really trying hard. I'm gonna have to like delete some files apparently here.
Just
Okay.
delete all the old school stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You don't need that anymore. I should probably do that too, like them. But anyway, so what did you say? I forgot.
I was just talking about how it's number four, and it was super good.
Oh,
And even after looking back, there's stuff that I have some issues with, but as a whole, absolutely my fourth favorite Marvel movie as of right now.
yeah, I'm the same way. Oh, I was gonna say you're gonna have an opportunity on November 12th. It's sorry, I heard my dog bark. It's coming out. It's coming out on Disney Plus on November 12th, so we'll have another chance to watch it through, which I'm gonna do too. Um,
Oh, that's some more news as well. Sorry, jumping back to the news section, but Black Widow will officially be on Disney Plus on October 6th.
oh, okay, cool.
It'll be on Disney Plus for just
I
preview.
probably won't watch that
Yeah,
again,
same.
to be honest.
But it's just it's news.
Yeah, you're
News is
right. It
news.
is news.
It's so weird that it's only that like because it released in like what like July or whatever.
July 3rd.
So it's yeah. So it's no, not July, or was it July?
It was July. It was
It was
supposed to come
July.
out in March, and then it came July. Might not have been the
Okay,
3rd.
but yeah. So that's July to October, which is 3 months. But then Shang-Chi from being out to being on Disney Plus, it's coming on Disney
Like
Plus, like
2 months.
you said, like yeah,
November
November.
12th.
So that's only 2 months there. It's not too huge of a difference necessarily, but it still is like a like significant
Right.
difference there.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, Black Widow's technically been there the whole time. It's just you had to pay for it.
No, it was actually there to pay for, but then they removed it even from
Oh,
like
did they?
yeah, they removed like completely. Even if you wanted to pay for it, you weren't
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
able to, and now it's returning.
Hmm. But yeah, those are all my. I guess those are all my overarching thoughts of Shang Chi. I like the cameos. I thought the cameos would be too much, but they were actually pretty good at the end.
Yes, if yes, yeah. I really liked the post credit scene a lot
Me
here.
too.
I don't necessarily want to dive into it quite yet because there are a lot of other things I want to talk about earlier on in the
Hmm.
movie first. But I just saying that right now, post credit scene was one of my favorite post credit scene we've had in a while,
Yeah, I agree.
especially compared to Black Widow.
Yeah. Well, and I'd just like to give a shout out. Not that they ever listen to this. A shout out to the actors who were in this movie. They were all fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Even Aquafina, which I mean, Aquafina, I've seen her in a couple movies. I wasn't sure about her acting at first, but she's actually a lot better than I expected. She's really good in Raya and the Last Dragon.
I will say that like uh, this movie, I don't know specifically what it was about it, but it reminded me of the Netflix shows a lot.
Yeah,
Just with
yeah,
like I don't know if it was like the fight scenes or like how they were just more ordinary
hmm
people compared to some of the other
hmm
characters we have
right.
in Marvel, but it felt a lot like the Netflix shows, which I liked a lot because I really like the style of the Netflix shows. And most
hmm
times in movies, we just get these big, explosions,
Right.
whatever. And even though towards the end we got more into like the mythical side
hmm
of the MCU, it still felt very street level as a
hmm
whole.
hmm Yeah. Um. So I guess we can talk about the. I guess we can go, not like in super in depth because we don't got too much time, but we can go through the plot of the movie real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
Um. So you can start because I don't remember.
Okay. I think essentially it just starts off with him as like a child. It starts off with like Shang-Chi as a child. He's with his mom. And one of the things I really liked about this movie is like Disney could do what it always does,
hmm
or not necessarily always, but a lot of times with Hollywood, and just make everybody speak
English.
English. But they actually there's a lot of dialogue, a lot of back and forth that was in
Is it Mandarin or is it Cantonese?
I'm not sure, and I don't want to say and I get it wrong.
Hmm.
So I'm just gonna say, the language that they actually were speaking.
Right. No, I
Um,
I agree with you too.
and it had subtitles, and I was like, they did not have to do that, but they did it, and it made it so much better because it felt more authentic.
Another
It
movie
was,
that did that really well was Midway, which came out a couple
yeah,
years ago. Yeah, yeah. The Japanese dialogue was all in Japanese, which is cool.
sweet.
And I mean, they like gave a reason for him to know English too.
Yeah,
Early on in the movie, he's
yeah.
he's how doesn't he know like what did they say, 4 languages or something like that?
5
Five
languages,
languages.
I
Okay,
think, but I can't
it's been a while.
remember exactly. But yeah, it was like it was just nice to know.
Hmm.
Like it established very early on that there was going to be like a balance. It wasn't just going to be like, oh, an American movie in like America, and then it just happens to be the background. But here's it's like no, it's definitely going to have that balance that so many other movies miss. Like
Hmm.
I don't like when movies treat audiences like they can't read subtitles for a
Yeah.
prolonged period of time. I get that some people really don't like subtitles, but it's like it just makes it feel more um authentic.
Yeah.
More
Yeah,
real.
I
It made me
agree.
feel like I was actually watching people's lives and not just like
An Americanized
comic
version.
book
Yeah.
characters do whatever they need to do for the sake of the story. It's like no,
Hmm.
this it just felt more real.
Hmm.
So it had him with his mom, and then I think it just kind of like abruptly cut to present day, where he received like a letter that
Oh, we learned how his mom met his dad.
was was
That
that
was
that
that
early
was
on?
yeah. It was like one of the first things. Remember he? Yeah, it was that early
Yeah,
on. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. It was the mom talking to him about how she met his dad,
Yeah.
and I really like the backstory of. Uh, okay, also one of the things because I just have to say this now because
No, you're good.
you were going to like catch me calling him like the Mandarin throughout a lot of this,
Uh
even though he says later that he was never called the Mandarin. The Mandarin isn't actually a
huh.
name of his. But
Can you imagine the line he said about the Mandarin? About he
yes,
made all these people afraid of a chicken dish. that
yes.
was that was great.
But like obviously in our minds, he is filling like the role of the Mandarin. He's who we've been
Hmm.
talking about when we've talked about the Mandarin in the past. So I'm going to call him the Mandarin, even though that's not his name. It's just the default that like
Right.
that my brain currently has.
Right. And they didn't really give us a name either.
They, yeah, like they they didn't give us like an alter ego or whatever, like nickname or
Hmm.
not nickname, but like other name for him to be called. But they did tell us his real name, but I can't remember his real name now. I can't remember a lot of their real names. Unfortunately, I've always been bad with names, and it's just not helping that I haven't seen this movie in like 3 weeks
Hmm.
or whatever.
Yeah, I did mention
Um,
it, but I don't remember.
yeah.
Um.
But so they gave the backstory on the Mandarin, not necessarily how he found the rings, but how he used them
Hmm.
for power.
Hmm.
And it was, and honestly, I really did like seeing the rings and like the fight scenes and all that, how he used them, like all different ways. I liked seeing them like that.
Hmm.
I really don't like that they've now eliminated the possibility of, the actual Ten Rings as rings being used in the MCU. I wish this was like a separate thing where they could still bring in the Ten Rings as rings. But honestly, seeing them as the bracelets and the
Hmm.
fight scenes, they still kind of had their own unique powers, unique ways of interacting in battle.
Hmm.
So I like that.
Yeah, it was cool. So so they did that, and then, like you said,
And
they
they,
abruptly cut to current day.
yeah, it was him working as it was Shang-Chi working in California
Hmm. San Francisco, I
as
believe.
a as a valet.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it was kind of neat because when they're cutting through like scenes of California areas, they like showed the little like road thing that goes in that like zigzag. It's like this
Hmm.
super steep thing. I just couldn't help but think of the scene from Ant-Man and the Wasp where they're driving
Yeah.
down that exact same road. So that was like a neat like tie-in almost, kind of weird calling it a
Yeah,
tie-in because I know it's just like an actual area
in
of
San Francisco.
California,
Yeah.
which is that they have that exact same road in Ant-Man and the Wasp, like in a very identifiable way, and then
Hmm.
they like included it very directly in
Hmm.
this movie. It's like that's so weird to think about like other superhero stuff happening there while we're learning the story of like another superhero.
Yeah, yeah, and that's another reason why it kind of felt like the Marvel TV shows on Netflix, because like they would always
Yes.
refer to the stuff that happened in New York, was it the 2012 or whatever? They'd
Yeah.
always reference that, and it's just kind of like a thing. But you're also learning about these characters, um, so that was cool. Especially when you got the appearances later on, um,
Hmm.
of the different characters and stuff like that. But so it's him and Aqua.
Also,
Yep.
oh, I was gonna say, just on like a side note with all that,
Yep.
um, I I rewatched season one of the Punisher
Uh huh.
recently, and there's one scene where they're talking about stuff that's happened in like New York recently, and they reference all of these like actual historical events. One thing they don't reference uh, is like the MCU New York invasion that took place
Hmm.
in 2012 in Marvel canon,
Hmm.
and I realized that like that because the Punisher came out so far after the Marvel movie and TV split that they actually don't reference any of the MCU stuff at
Oh, okay.
all, which makes it the only Netflix show, only Marvel Netflix show that does not.
That's not canon.
And it's kind of like an
No.
interesting. It yes, it's the only one that doesn't take the MCU events up to 2012 as canon, while all the rest of them do, which is like it makes it even more removed from everything else. I just it's
Right,
not
because
really
it's
important or
connected to
relevant,
Daredevil.
but yeah. So
Yeah, that's weird.
it's just so weird, kind of seeing it take like more and more steps
Away. Yeah.
away.
Interesting.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah.
Um. But so anyway, so we find him working with the valet with Aquafina's character, who I'm gonna call Aquafina the whole time because I don't remember her character's name.
Kate, I think, was
Maybe
that
that sounds
right?
right.
I I really
I
should have
don't remember.
refreshed my memory of like all the characters here.
Yeah, probably. Oh well.
Oh well.
But they're just working in a valet, and then like at some point they're just like,
I actually wish that like they had like comic book like alter egos we could just call them by, because like that's the only reason that I was able to remember
yeah,
anyone from like the Black Widow movie for one, because I know Black Widow and Red Guardian and that's it.
yep.
None of the rest of them had names. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember the
Um,
mom's name. I remember Yelena. That's it.
yeah, like Yelena. I would have not remembered that one either had
Yeah,
you not mentioned it here.
yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I don't remember
And
any of their names. We'll just call her Aku
Aquafina, which is her real name.
Aquafina then.
But so they're parking cars, and they do a Ferris Bueller moment where they take this guy's like real nice sports car and drive it away, and which is a bit of foreshadowing because that she cannot drive entirely great. Um,
That
it's
yeah,
not awful. It's just
she's
not
she's
great.
comfortable driving recklessly
Yeah,
is how I would put
that's
that.
the best way to put it. Yeah. Um. So then they're back. What happened after that? I think they go back to the.
They they go grab dinner with a friend that they have,
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
or like a couple,
yeah. Hmm.
and like the lady's telling them about her stuff, her job or whatever,
And how
and
it's
then they're
crazy. You're right. Yeah.
yeah and then they're kind of like, oh, we're just working, we don't care about all this adult stuff, we're just fine being who we are.
Did I freeze?
um
Oh no, you're
what
good. Nothing. Sorry.
Oh, okay. And then yeah, so they just kind of get like insulted by that kind of. I think they go out for karaoke
Hmm.
after that, I which
No, no. They
that was
went
a
out
cool
to
scene.
they went out to karaoke after they were like, we should probably go to bed. We got work in the morning, get the early shift,
Yeah.
and then they're like, and then they cut to them singing. No, they weren't singing Hotel California yet.
No.
I don't remember what they were singing, but they're at the
um
karaoke bar and
yeah
enjoying themselves.
yeah it was a montage of them singing a couple songs, and one of those songs was actually Old Town Road.
That's right. Yeah.
And of funny thing about that I saw someone pointed out online was
Mhm.
like Old Town Road is the first song to be like included in the MCU, like as like something that someone is listening to in the MCU.
Huh.
That in our world came out after where in the MCU the snap would have taken place, which means it would be canon in the MCU that
That Lil Nas
Lil Nas
X
X
wasn't
survived the
snapped.
snap and also had his same music career up to like the Old Town Road point.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
funny. I like that. You know what's even funnier? That song is really old in that movie. Because remember,
yeah.
this
Oh, yeah.
movie takes place post snap, which is 2023.
3. Oh, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that song's like 5 or 6 years old by then. Maybe not.
yeah.
Maybe 5.
It takes place at least 2023. I don't think we were ever given an exact time frame in which it, like how long after the snap it
I
was.
think it's before It's before Spider Man. That's about all I could figure out.
Yeah.
Because
All right.
if it was after Spider Man, I don't think Wong would be as chill.
Maybe you're right,
I don't
but
know.
I don't know.
I could look it up, but I don't want to.
Yeah. uh oh, and also, did we ever find out if Shang-Chi was snapped away or if he was there during those 5 years? Was that
I don't think that was ever.
ever mentioned?
No,
Because it was kind of like unusual. Like I feel like they would have alluded
they didn't even
to it
mention
at
that, did
least.
they? They maybe
No.
mentioned it. No, they didn't mention it at all in the show, did they?
Yeah.
Huh?
They yeah, there was some line about I mean, we can probably piece together based on his age during certain years, like when he was a child versus how old, because
Yeah,
they mentioned
yeah.
how old
They
he
did mention
was
how old he was
then,
and when
but
he was born. He was born in '96. If I remember, or no, his parents met in '96. That's when it was.
okay. So maybe he wasn't snapped away then?
Yeah, I guess not.
I'm
'Cause
not
he'd be
sure.
younger than
That's
that.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Probably
that's
be at least our age, right?
interesting.
23. If he
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
snapped. So
Yeah, because I had talked about college recently for him and like all that, but
yeah,
I don't know exactly where he falls.
right. But then oh, then they were on the bus ride. Then the next
Mhm.
morning he goes to the Aquafina's house.
Which I also love this scene just at her house because again, it
Yeah,
felt like a normal family. It wasn't
yeah,
like
yeah.
super far, like because the last street level thing we've gotten has been like a the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but
And that was not really street level.
yeah,
Yeah,
that didn't feel like street level at all because
it took
they're
place
just
in various countries.
yeah, their characters are just way too large. Even when they're sitting down, like even when they're fixing the boat, it's like you still have in your mind like, oh, this guy is the Falcon. He's like an established superhero,
Hmm.
so it can't feel street level like uh inherently because of that. And maybe
Right.
that's just me. Maybe some people have different ways of viewing that, in which they do view it as kind of like these smaller uh, like moments, but like
Right,
I
but
really
it's
thought this was the first conversation we've gotten in a
mhm.
while where it's just a dude just chilling, and it was really great that it was taking place in America, but it still felt like it had all of the uh, like all the traditions and family dynamics of where they were actually from, like
Mhm.
ancestrally.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And especially with when you mentioned you liked that scene because it felt like you were in there with like a real family. You know, 10 years ago they would have had the grandmother speak English, even if she was from directly from China.
Yeah,
But now she didn't speak any English.
yeah,
There's
which
a
was
there's a barrier, but they
great.
under and even though they were speaking English, they knew what she was saying, and I think
Yeah,
she knew what they were saying. Like she knew enough English to understand them, but she couldn't speak it herself or something like that.
yeah.
But yeah, no, and that's something that's a real thing that happens with immigrants. The grandparents may not
Oh
speak
yeah.
English, but the kids and then the grandkids do. So yeah, that was a neat thing. And then after that, they
Love that.
go to the they start going to work. They catch the bus, and then that's when the bus fight scene takes place, which was awesome. That was great fight choreography, especially since you're confined to a bus. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so little room to move, and yet they still made it feel like this big epic fight scene. I thought that
Yeah.
was really cool. And then of course you had the comic relief with that guy filming it for the internet.
We're sort of feeling it, and he was like, "Hey, this fight's breaking out. I'm gonna go and like rank their fight moves, fight styles, with my expertise." It was a really neat moment.
Yeah,
Oh, apparently something I saw about him, he was the same actor from Spider-Man:
Spider Man.
Homecoming
Hmm.
who was like, "Hey, do a flow," when it was there. So I really hope canonically that it is the same guy, like
He's world
both
traveler.
times. Yeah, because that would be really funny there.
Was that the last
But
street level hero guy we got? Was Spider Man really? Like realistically, the first Spider Man movie?
probably,
Yeah.
I can't really think of anyone else.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe Ant Man, and
Yeah, but that was kind of
the first one.
the first one. Yeah, it was still a bit sciencey with like their
Right, that's
tech
true.
and like uh how
Oh no,
big the
yeah, you're
battles ended
right.
up
It
used
was
to be.
kind of just Iron Man one again, I guess, with but
Kind of,
funnier
but even that
and
one, I
more
mean,
heisty.
maybe we've never had a real street level movie
No,
in Marvel.
other
I don't
than
think we
just
have.
the first Spider Man movie,
Yeah,
because he was
that
with
was
a
probably the
weapons
closest one.
dealer.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean,
Uh,
even still, Iron Man was in it for most of it, and this is like the first like true street level we've gotten. Um,
even though it isn't all the way street level by itself because it gets into a lot of like, the mystic side of the
right.
MCU.
Well, and the Ten Rings are a giant organization.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, still, I mean, it felt more like it was like Daredevil versus the Hand than it
Yeah.
did Iron Man versus the who Killian.
The other 10 rings, who wasn't actually the 10
Yeah,
rings.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I liked how much they referenced that. I'm
Yeah.
Ben. The fact that Ben Kingsley came back.
Yes. Yeah, which
I know I'm skipping
is
ahead,
something that
but
I wanted to get to. Yeah. But like that was a huge. I was so excited to see that because like
yeah.
we talked about that a whole on the podcast. Where it's like, do we want to see his character return, or do we want
Hmm.
the focus to be more on whatever? And I was hoping that they would be able to bring him back and still have like the correct like balance there.
Uh huh.
And I was thrilled. Like I was not expecting it at all. That was I had about the same reaction as when in Infinity War, like it's like the Red Skull was first
Yeah.
uh, revealed. I had
Hmm.
about the same reaction seeing Trevor. I was like, oh my god! Like I was watching it with Lauren. I grabbed Lauren's arm and was like, oh my god, it's Trevor. And I actually don't think she remembered who he was at first. She's kind of looked at me like, what are you talking about?
Was it the same reaction you
Um,
had when you saw Cad Bane in Bad Batch? Because I was there for that. Remember, I watched the episode with you.
yes, yeah, it's probably even more
Even
than
more so.
that. There,
Wow.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
it was, and they
I
didn't like.
loved seeing, and his role was perfectly
Yeah, it
like
was
like
great.
honestly, I never in a million years dreamed he would have that major of a role because I really thought that if they gave him that major of a role, it would have detracted from a lot of the actual
Yeah,
story. But it
it worked.
worked. Somehow they did it, and it worked.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
he survived. Spoiler alert! I thought he was going to die in the final battle, but he actually survived.
yeah, it was crazy. But so sorry, we got ahead of ourselves. I just wanted to talk about Ben Kingsley because I thought he was awesome in it.
Oh yeah,
Um, but so they have the big battle, and then
yeah. The
basically
bus.
in the bus.
Sorry, yeah, and like back to that. One thing that I really liked when that dude was like filming, even when the guy with like the machete for an army that came out or whatever, everyone was kind of like remarkably calm about the whole thing, and it's
Yeah.
kind of cool just seeing how much like the past like 15 years of superheroes being a thing just
Oh
desensitized
yeah, I
everybody
didn't even
to a
think
whole
about
lot.
that. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
like
Um,
everyone's like, okay, just another another ordinary day, you know.
mhm. And then I like the part where that woman goes to fall out and he catches her. Like I know he doesn't have any powers, but it's almost like he's on par with some of the other big guys in the MCU. Like he was
Yeah,
so
he was
good,
trained well.
so so well trained. I mean, obviously he was abused to get
Oh
that well
yeah,
trained,
yeah,
which we
yeah.
see. I mean, there's a bunch of bunch
I
of
would not
backstory.
recommend his training like regimen in any way here.
Um,
But I
but
mean, it worked for him
yeah,
apparently.
yeah, and there's a bunch of training, not montages, but they're like moments like where there's flashbacks and what happened and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so after that, I don't remember what it was. I don't remember if he got a postcard or something, but he realized that. I know he got a postcard, but he realized that that was the 10 rings, and that his father was after him. Oh, it's because he wanted his necklace or his
Yes.
whatever
Because the guy with the
whatever.
machete for an arm had some
Mhm.
kind of like cool name. I
He's
don't
the
remember
Bul-
what.
he was the Bulgarian. That's all I remember.
Yeah. Uh, um, he 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 took the pendant from him, and the pendant was a gift that his mom had gave him
Pendant, yeah,
a long time ago,
right.
and then with the postcard, uh,
That's what he figured
he
out.
like he realized that the address or whatever on it was where his sister lived,
Hmm.
and that because she had the other pendant, the
There
Ten
he
Rings would most likely
go after
go
her.
for her next.
Hmm. That's right. And then so he goes. He basically like, all right, I'm leaving, and then Aquafina's like, huh, not without me. And then so he brings her along reluctantly, tells him, or basically because she didn't know that he could do all that he did on the
Yeah,
bus.
no.
She's
And
like,
she
what
had
the
known
hell is
him.
going on?
What she said she had known him for like 9 years or something like that, right?
Yeah, because he left when he was 13 to go on that mission,
Hmm.
something like that, and then he left. And he joined. He lives in San Francisco or whatever. But like
So it's a
she's
great
like,
scene.
mhm.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say she like they're on the plane, and he's
Yeah,
explaining things to her
yeah.
about like who he is and stuff like that, and then
I
they're
liked how there was the
interrupted.
whole. Yeah, I liked how there's like the whole like where at first you don't even know that he's on the airplane. You just hear him like narrating the story, and it gets like really like
It's like a really
just
big
in
climax. Yeah,
just in a detail with his training and like how he was like abused basically and all this stuff and with his father and everything. And all of a sudden, it's
yeah.
just they're interrupted by the stewardess. Just cuts away abruptly as the stewardess is asking like what they would like to eat.
Beef or
I
was it
think.
beef or fish or something like that?
Yeah. No, it was vegetarian or chicken or beef.
It was vegetarian chicken. Yeah,
Maybe.
vegetarian chicken or beef, but we're all out of chicken.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. First she offers that, and then it's like, and then they're like, we're trying in the middle of something, but like vegetarian or whatever. And she goes away, and then she's like, oh, actually, we're out of vegetarian. So chicken or beef. And then they're like, okay, chicken. She goes away again. She keeps trying to get back in the story, and he keeps trying to tell her. And then she comes back and is like, "Oh, we're all out of chicken." She looks at them, and they're like, "Beef."
Then I
She's
get
like,
that
oh,
we'll have
"Okay,
the beef, and it's like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm the same thing. It's like, oh, okay.
yeah,
That was a great scene. That was a very MCU scene. It
yes,
was so funny. Um,
oh yeah."
that was a fantastic scene.
But yes, so then he tells her the whole story. There's the whole thing where like he told her that the last thing he was asked to do was go and uh, kill somebody, but that he could not do it, and that's why he ran.
Mhm,
Uh, Later on in the movie, we find out that he actually did end up killing the person,
mhm.
and then he ran after that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
but
there's a lot. He was developed a ton in this movie. That was a lot of character development in this movie for
oh
Shang-Chi.
oh yes,
Um, but anyway, so they eventually get there. They arrive at this address, and this guy is in that comes up to them in the elevator. He's like, "Oh, you're the Busta guy." And or no, he eventually first he
yes,
says it
okay,
in uh Chinese. I guess could we call it just Chinese because we don't really know whether it's Cantonese or uh oh my god traditional. What's the other one? Mandarin.
sure, yeah.
Well, I guess we call it Chinese.
I suppose. Hopefully,
Wait, were
I'm
they
so
even in
sorry
China?
if this is. They were in Hong Kong, right? Or
No,
am I mistaken completely? Am I
they were
mistaken
somewhere else.
completely?
They were in the
Oops.
place they were, and the guy was speaking the language he was speaking. And no, it
Yes.
was Chinese because remember, Aquafina
Was
says,
that?
"Sorry, my Chinese isn't great,"
Yes.
and then he said, "That's fine. I know my."
Where were they though? Like, what city were they in?
I don't remember. We're bad at this, guys. We're sorry, but you know
Yeah,
that.
or
If you listen to the show, you know that.
names, locations. I have zero idea. I I could not tell you where in California they were either. I don't
San
even know where
Francisco.
that special
That
road
that
is.
I
Oh
knew.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
dope.
yeah.
We know one location in this movie for sure. half
Dun dun dun.
half of us know one location.
I'm trying to find it. Oh no, it is Hong Kong.
It was
You were right.
boom.
I thought it was somewhere else.
We each knew one location.
His sister's name was. I just saw it. Oh, I don't want to try to announce that. Oh, the dad's name is Wenwu.
Nice.
Or the Mandarin. His name is Wenwu.
What was
Shi Ling.
what was Shung's friend's name?
Oh, Shang-Chi characters. Thank you. Jesus. Katie. Yo, you were right.
It was okay. Okay.
Oh God, we're bad. We're bad at this. Oh, it was Razor Fist. That was the other. That was
Razor Fist.
that
That's
should have been obvious.
because like that's who reminded me of. Like, so as soon as I heard his name was Razor Fist, it reminded me of the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 whose name was Taserface. That sounded so similar.
Yeah, but Razor Fist sounds cool. Taser Face sounds dumb. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's not that
Yeah.
different. Maybe because it's
No.
face. I don't know. Oh
Oh
God.
man.
Yeah,
But
Sheeling
yeah.
or Shi. We apologize if we're
So,
butchering names.
oh yeah,
Okay, I can't even. Yeah, Sheeling. So they go see Shang-Chi's sister.
yes, he signs papers while in the elevator. He doesn't
He does,
really read over them because he can't really read Chinese all that well,
or he
and all
just
the
didn't.
papers are the papers were in
Yeah.
Chinese.
Yeah. Or
I
it's
remember
either
that.
he doesn't read it well, or he just didn't read it. He just
Yeah,
signed it,
so
essentially.
he just signs and he gets up there and it's like this fight club
Yep.
basically. And then he's like, "Oh, can I see like, my sister now? How do you know where this person is?" And he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, you've signed up to fight." And he's like, "What?" And the dude's like, "Yeah."
You signed the papers,
Um
but you get
and
to go to the Champions League, essentially.
yes. Yeah, you just skip all these small fights, you go straight in the main ring here. And currently in the main ring there was Wong facing off against Abomination.
Yeah.
And I was hoping for context of Abomination's backstory. We didn't get any of that. Honestly, that's
No.
totally fine
All we
though.
know is that Wong and the Abomination are friends.
Yes,
It's
like
all
the
we know.
Abomination isn't like a mindless monster or whatever anymore. Like
No.
it's just some dude just is the Abomination.
Yep.
But no context to if the Abomination is the same Abomination we saw in the Incredible Hulk movie or what.
Nope. Zero context whatsoever. Um. But what's it? What else was it? Oh, so they get there, and then so he sees them fighting. He's like, I'm not fighting. And then he goes in, and then he says, "Well, you signed the paper." And he's like, "Shit." And so he goes in. He gets in the ring, and he finds out he has to fight who else? His sister.
Yes.
And he realizes he's like, "I'm not gonna fight you." And then she kicks his ass. And then they go talk to each other about why he's there, and then we find out Aquafina we bet against Shang-Chi.
That was a
which is a
great
very
scene.
which is a very Katie, which is a very
Yeah,
Katie thing to do.
especially because Katie ultimately was the one who convinced him to go into the ring and fight. So for doing just bet against him, bet that he would lose. It's so funny.
Yeah. But then
Oh,
after,
it was
yeah,
also great, like because prior to him uh, going into the ring and fighting all that, he goes into like the into like the locker room
hmm
essentially, and there's like Wong and the Abomination just like chatting, like, oh, work on style or whatever this, and Wong summons the portal and they both walk through.
yeah,
I'm really thinking that we get to see more like Wong is honestly, this movie made me realize he's such like an underrated character.
right,
We've only really seen him in Doctor Strange and for like half a second or whatever in Infinity War. I guess he had more of a role in Infinity War and all that stuff.
yeah,
But
but
so
like it's not very long, essentially.
we haven't gotten to see much of him. So I really like this movie kind of focused more on those like characters we haven't really gotten to see a lot of, especially towards the post credit
Yeah,
scene
yeah,
at like the end.
yeah. Wong is just like became the most interesting character. It's like, whoa, wait. First off, why is he in this fight club? Second off, why does he know the Abomination?
Yeah.
And third, what? Third, but anyway, so then the Ten Rings come in and they attack. Um,
Yeah, and then the sister kind of
she,
just
yeah,
leaves.
she just leaves without fighting, essentially. Then
Yeah.
she ends up getting roped into fighting when Katie is put in danger. Um,
Like kind of roped. I don't. It kind of looked like she just kind of decided to come back on like her own. It just happened to
Be at the same time, yeah.
coincide with when Katie was really in danger. Like that,
Yeah.
it escalated far more quickly than I thought it would escalate to that
Yeah.
early
And that was
in the movie.
another great scene in a tight space. Another great fight scene in
Oh
a
yeah,
tight space. Like it's on rafting on the side of a building in Hong Kong. Like it's not a
scaffolding,
big
right?
area.
The
Scaffolding, sorry.
yeah.
Rafting, scaffolding. That's all the same. But it's not easy to move in that area, and they kicked
Oh yeah.
ass, both of them.
Yeah, it was
Um,
like that was one part that that like I really liked. That I feel like a lot of other superhero movies do not do well.
mhm,
When Shang-Chi was fighting off all of these guys, and then told Kay like Kitty, you need to go, just get to the elevator and you'll be safe.
mhm,
And she couldn't make it there because
mhm.
she was trying to run on scaffolding while there's a million assassins all around her. It's like most superhero movies, they're just like, oh, you know,
He gets there
they'll let
anyway. Yeah,
they'll like let the other person get away while the superhero's fighting everybody off. But it's like that's realistically that's not practical to be like, hey, just go and do this super reckless thing that we're just
right.
So that was it was neat to get to see. It just felt more real than a lot of the movies we've seen recently in the MCU and all that. That was the other thing.
for
No,
for for a
oh yeah,
superhero movie.
oh yeah, yeah. The other bit that I liked a whole lot was that in America, his name
Oh yeah,
was Sean,
yeah.
and when he was telling Katie that his actual name was like Shung, and I know I'm like I'm not pronouncing it
Exactly
exactly
correct.
right,
Right.
but like she was like,
Doing the best we
"Why
can.
would you choose a name so close to your actual name to go into hiding as?"
Yeah.
And it's just so funny.
What happens
And
after
the back and
that?
forth where he was trying to have her pronounce it like exactly right, and she could not get the exact pronunciation right.
That's literally all of us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What happened after that? Did they go try to find their dad? Their dad?
They didn't have to because
Oh, that's right.
the
That's right. He
assassin
showed up.
dude grabbed his sister's pendants. Like he
Hmm.
chased him down, and all of a sudden, his dad showed up,
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
and then
And then he took him back. Right.
"Welcome back." It was so funny because you expected him based on what Shang-Chi had been saying.
Hmm.
It was like, oh, he's going to like want to kill them or whatever here, and he was like, no, I did this on purpose so we would be here together. And
Hmm.
like I did send my men to kill you, but I knew that they wouldn't be able to do
To kill
so.
you. I thought that was a
So
cool line. Yeah. I like
yeah,
that. I and I mean this is further on down the movie, but like you almost pity his dad, Wenwu. Like you, because he everything he did, it's almost like Darth Vader. Everything he
yeah,
did was out of love, but it made
yeah,
him a not
kind
a
of,
great person.
yeah. It was
It was a revenge for
it
the
was
love he
interesting.
lost.
I really
Anyway,
wish, honestly,
he was a
looking
great
back,
he was a
like
great villain, I think.
yeah, skipping ahead to kind of my there are two complaints that I have about this movie.
Yeah,
And the first one, it really doesn't like develop until later on. It's like the extent I'm talking about, but they really did not do enough with his father, in my opinion. I wish they would have explored that character more, given him more time
I wish I hadn't killed him off.
to develop. Yeah, yeah, that's one big thing. Where it's like I wish they gave him a chance to get like redeemed. I wish
Hmm.
they spent more time introducing him and then gave him more time to be redeemed instead of just the easy
Hmm.
get out of jail free card like redemption arc that they've given so many like villains here, like the Kylo Ren Star Wars redemption, where it's just like, oh, do one good thing before you die,
Well, same thing with Darth Vader. There,
and then you're redeemed.
Darth Vader did
Yeah,
the same thing. Oh, I threw Palpatine down the shaft. Now I'm gonna die.
yeah, yeah.
Kylo
For
Ren.
Darth,
Oh, I saved Rey. Now I'm gonna die.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean,
Darth
it's
Vader's
just a
was
trope.
slightly different because it fit more of the original trilogy a bit more. In the
They
greater
also spent.
context that George Lucas gave us, it was
They also,
yeah,
yeah. They also spent 60 movies building it up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but no, that's
But
just a trope that
for
happens in movies. You
where
know.
it's just you have a villain in one movie, and
Hmm.
then it's just, I was like, if they didn't do that, this would be probably one of my favorite Marvel movies above like
Mhm.
everything else because they stuck to that trope
Yeah.
and just skipping ahead to the other thing I didn't like the big unnecessary battle at like the very end
Yeah.
of the movie because it's something that it's whenever they have something where it can be so easily avoided and all of a sudden it's just like nope one thing happened and now here's a big battle that is like it is like the end of the world.
It was
The only
like
thing I
it was like
the only
the Black Panther fight. And at the end of Black Panther, people had
yes
the same complaints
yes
about that too.
yeah
Yeah.
and it wasn't as bad for me with this one because like if they had lost it wouldn't necessarily be the end of like the world or end of everything.
Mhm.
There was still hope like later on down the road because the uh the big bad evil guy who I won't necessarily name yet because I don't know if you want to do any kind of special
Well,
like
we're like
build up
almost
to that
there.
reveal.
Like most of this,
But
a lot of this movie's time was taken up by flashbacks.
yeah. But like if like Shang-Chi had lost, there still is like an extra line of defense before the BBEG can get into like Earth and destroy
Mhm.
Earth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Um. So, Shang-Chi's he's taken back to him and his sister and Katie, who's still there, is taken
yeah.
back to the headquarters of the Ten Rings. Then he basically explains to them why he wanted them there and why he thinks um his wife is still talking to him.
Yeah.
Which you find out later, it's not. It's a trick. But then he takes the two pendants that they gave that the mom gave the two kids and put it on this. Was it a dragon?
Mm-hmm.
Put it
Eyes.
in its eyes, and out came like this big water map of where his wife was from, because he thought his wife's people were like had her like held up there or whatever.
Mhm.
Um,
Because
so we see that, and then he
that's
basically
what the wife's voice had been saying. It was like,
right,
"Hey, I'm being
right,
held. I'm being trapped." Which I kind of hate that they didn't show us that before it was said because it
hmm
was said, and you're like, "What?" And then it like
hmm
you could have seen like 10 minutes later of that same thing happening, but it's like,
right,
well, I couldn't have seen that before just to give us the extra
yeah,
context. I don't know if that's really necessary. If that would have fit with the flow of the movie, it kind of felt odd
right,
to me. 'Cause it's like,
right,
oh, you think he's kind of making it up, then you realize he's not making it up, then you realize it's like there's a lot of like a lot of changes
yeah,
in what the voice was.
yeah. So then he basically asks, "So are you with me? Let's go find your mom. Let's be a family again." And they're like, "Dad, you're crazy. We're
Oh,
not gonna help
also,
you."
and with the map, it was up for like 5 seconds, and it was like a detailed route through a forest, and then just faded away. And then he was
Mhm.
like, "Okay, I've got it." And it's like, how? Like,
Well, remember,
how can
he'd
your
been putting
memory?
years and years of research into it. Like
But
he knew where it, or he
okay,
kind of knew what it was. He just didn't know
okay,
when, and that the
okay,
map kind of gave him that. When it
yeah.
opened up, the map kind of helped him out with that.
Still feel like he should have like
No, you're right. You're right.
taken a picture of it or something. He's gonna just
Whip out his phone. All right, I got it. Yes.
yeah.
All right, we got it. All right. Um, but yeah. So then they basically say, "Nah, Dad, you're crazy," and then he throws him in the cellar. And in the cellar is where we see Ben Kingsley again.
Fantastic reveal because they're in the cellar and then you just hear like this noise coming from down the hallway and you're like, what is that sound?
Uh huh.
And then they go and investigate and it's Trevor. And I was like, what? That was it
He
was
was
such a cool scene.
he was acting
Because
for them, right? Like
yeah,
doing
yeah, because
shows.
he's
Yeah.
talking like about how he was, you know, those were the people who took him from prison in the
Hmm.
in like the short
All hail the
All
king.
Hail the King, yeah.
Hmm.
And that he was taken to be executed,
Hmm.
but before he started like acting, and they just kept him around.
Which is such. It makes so much sense for that character.
Yeah,
So much sense. I loved it so much. Um, and then he had like this little headless chicken groundhog thing.
yeah. It was like a
It's a magical creature from his mom, from their mom's
it
realm.
was some kind of animal. Yeah, and like I love the line where they were like, "What is that?" And he was like, "You can see it too. It's not just me. I'm not crazy."
Yeah.
He convinced himself that he was just hallucinating this guy.
That was great. Again, his character's so good.
It was
It
just
makes Iron Man 3 worth it, because I know a lot of people
yeah,
didn't like that, and I love Iron Man 3. It's my favorite of the Iron Man movies. But like people hated that so much. But like this kind of made it worth it. I don't know.
yeah. I always liked the character of Trevor.
Uh-huh.
So giving him more screen time as like, himself and not him playing the Mandarin
Right.
was great.
Uh-huh. That was so
And
good.
they just kept him around because I was like, oh, he'll be in here this one scene, then they'll go and like leave or whatever. They took him with them.
Uh-huh.
They're going off to like find whatever, and they take Trevor
He drove,
with
right?
them. No, Trevor
Oh,
didn't
no,
drive.
Aquafina
It
drove.
was
He was in the
yeah, but
he translated
he
for
was
the
he was in the passenger seat translating
uh-huh.
the flying
Headless
pig.
rodent.
I want to
Flying
say
headless
yeah.
rodent. But
Uh,
anyway, so they meet him and they basically are like, who found a way out? Oh, his sister found a way out
yes,
to
on the
escape.
way to the garage, so they go and like they grab a car, and then
Because
they
that's how
take it
she
and
escaped the
they
first time.
yeah, and they just they
She.
they barely make it out because they had to get someone's like handprint or
Hmm.
whatever to make it out through the other door because they tried to go out through
Right.
the main door and then all the cars came in, so they had to go
Hmm.
and they had some fight scene where some dude like it's kind of one of the things with comic book movies where it's like if the bad guy hadn't retaliated and they would never have escaped because they only escaped because one of
Hmm.
the bad guy minions like got
Yeah.
close enough where they could take his hand and put his hand on the thing and
Yeah, they killed him and then
uh
they put his hand on that thing
yeah
or knocked him out or something.
yeah yeah they just knocked him out
And then they threw him out the
I think
window. That was a cool.
um
Again, tight space, great fight scene.
yeah
They did really good
uh
with the tight space fight scenes
so then they
in this
leave
first
with
movie.
plans to go get to this secret realm
Hmm.
prior to the dad being able to go because the dad's path doesn't open up for like 1 day or 2 days or something like that.
Right, but this
So
creature knew the path.
yeah, and the dad uh, does not hunt them down. He's like, oh, they're just like leaving. They're not like he didn't think that they were going to this realm. He thought they were just like trying to escape and get away from him. So I don't have any use for them now
Hmm.
because I got their pendants. But like, I want us to be a family game. But I'll wait till after I get their mom back, and then we can.
Right.
Yeah. Um. So then they go to this place, and then they're waiting for the
Opening.
creature to alert them to the opening.
Yeah.
And then when he does, you get this really cool scene where they're driving throughout all the trees as they're kind of like closing around them.
Hmm. That was really cool. Really
Um,
awesome scene.
I would not have been able to do that, and I think that scene is a little impractical because he was like, "Oh, take a sharp right turn here," and the right turn she made just happened to coincide perfectly to the trees changing. And it's like I really don't think that anyone would have been able to do that
No.
at all without heightened ability. It's just an ordinary driver as
Colton
Richter says,
maybe.
you're not gonna be able to hit those turns exactly right. You're gonna
Colton
turn
maybe.
yeah. You're gonna turn a little too early or a little too late, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
like hit trees
Yeah.
because the trees aren't going around you. You're trying to follow a path
You're in the
that like they're making.
Hmm.
So
It was
it's just
it
bizarre.
was a cool scene though. I liked it.
Yeah, it was a really cool scene, especially in the very end where like they don't quite make it. The trees closed before, but then they are able to like ram
Vroom.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this was such a beautiful scene when they first get there.
Hmm.
Like I know it was a lot of CGI, but it's still really really beautiful. And the creatures were cool. Like they had like the horse drag, like the not horse dragons. They looked like some. I'm not sure if they're traditional dragons, but like they look like
Yeah.
dragons that are seen, I think, sometimes in like
Um,
older arts from China, which I thought was cool.
online, I saw a lot of people who were saying like the mythical creatures looked like Pokemon, and a lot of other people getting mad that a lot of people said that they looked like Pokemon,
I
which I mean
mean,
for me was like it kind of took at that moment. It was like, of course they do, because people who designed the Pokemon were probably inspired by like the fantasy
yeah,
creatures in like old stories or whatever. But it was just super funny, especially with like the fox that Ninetales is probably
Ninetales.
based on.
I believe that's
We're like, oh, it's
Japanese lore.
Ninetales.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
based
mean,
on
it
Japanese
absolutely
and Chinese
had to
lore.
be.
Yeah.
That was super neat to get to see more of these mythical animals
No,
that, like in Western myths,
I just
aren't like talked about a
right.
lot.
Hmm. No, yeah.
Because you have like Western myths have these other uh, mythical creatures, and Eastern myths have their own
Hmm.
set. So it was really great to see,
Hmm.
creatures that we don't ordinarily know about.
Yeah. No, I did the same thing. I just remembered that I did say, "Oh, look, it's Ninetales." But yeah. So they got there, and then they got to the village, found their mom's sister, and Ben Kingsley's still
Yes.
there.
They drove through for a ways, like for the Mandarin, not or their dad, who's not the Mandarin, but
Wenwu.
yeah, yeah, like Wen Wu. For him, he tried so hard to get in.
Hmm.
I feel like there's no resistance for them going in at all. They just kind of
None.
drove their truck through the waterfall and then got all the way in there.
Hmm.
And it's like, so like if I don't know, like obviously after the first time, it was no longer his primary objective to get in there. But it's kind of
Hmm.
like if he wanted to, he probably could have found uh, a way here.
Hmm. I forgot they drove through
Um,
the waterfall. It's almost like an interdimensional portal
yeah,
to
yeah,
get there.
yeah,
Yeah, I forgot
yeah,
about
and
that.
it
You're right.
wasn't an interdimensional uh, portal thing, which was neat. But yeah, they
Hmm.
drove for a long ways before seeing anybody, and then of
Hmm.
course it's like all the dudes who are like, "You need to leave," and they're like, "But we can't leave." And I wish they would have just said quicker why they were there. I feel like it would have de-escalated things without like
Benefited
their
them. Yeah.
aunt having to walk out.
Yeah. And then.
But they had this whole conversation,
Hmm.
and the mom's like, "Okay, we need to get prepared for this fight."
And then they do like a training montage, kind of. And
Yeah,
okay, I don't know if you noticed this, but like in going back, like we always do, the beginning fight between the mom and Wenwu, because I don't think we ever learned the mom's name. If we did, I don't remember. And I, even though I just looked it up,
we
pretend
did
I
learn the
didn't.
mom's name at
We
one
did.
point, but I don't remember what it was.
But just the difference in fighting styles, because you could tell Wen Wu was like just
So
aggressive
cool.
and sharp with his movements, whereas she was just like she flowed and was just like almost like air the way she did her thing. And
Yeah,
you learn that she does use air to her advantage and stuff like that. But like you could see like when Shang-Chi was kind of like practicing, and then his aunt came over and taught him, his movements started being aggressive, and kind of he almost mixed together the two fighting styles of the
yeah.
parents, which I thought was really cool. I really liked that about this movie, so the contrast in fighting styles between the characters.
And I'll also say that like a trope that I really, really do not like that a lot of movies use is like, oh, the hero learns a new style and is immediately able to master it and use it perfectly
Hmm.
and all that. And I liked in Shang-Chi how like he'll use elements of it in the final battle that he
Hmm.
has with his dad, but he does not use the style
Not
like
completely, yeah.
yeah, like wholly or by itself or like well. He
Hmm.
just like incorporates it, but he doesn't just adopt the style and have like flawless execution. So I
Right.
like that a lot. How they kind of steered away from that.
Hmm. And they really emphasized that Shang-Chi wasn't his dad, Shang-Chi wasn't his mom, but he was
Yes,
both of them. And I think
yes,
that with incorporating his mom's fighting style in the final battle really showed that.
and
Um,
I really like. Well, he's being trained with that, and
mhm.
Katie's kind of being trained with the bow and arrow.
I thought that
You
was cool
had
that they gave her something to do. Like she just wasn't just
yes,
like a sitting duck. She like had to learn something. She had like a knack for it too.
yeah. So, and I really like while all that was going on, you had Trevor who was out trying to like putting a play together with like all the children. That was
Oh, and he's
so
trying to teach him
funny.
soccer.
Oh yeah,
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 he tried to teach him soccer too. Yeah, that was funny.
yeah.
Just doing his own thing.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I like the part where his sister, Shi Ling, his his sister,
Yeah, and then
she was like
she got
watching
like the
them.
stick thing
She was
too,
watching
right?
them train, and then their aunt comes over and says,
Yeah,
"You don't have to pretend here. Like everyone can do this. You don't have to watch." And then she gets her weapon
stick thing. Yeah.
and just demolishes everything. She was so good with that thing.
Mhm.
I like the armor that they made too
Absolutely.
with the dragon scales. That was cool. But anyway, so they go through a little montage, and then it's like a day later. I don't know, they went and saw their mom's. I don't know what it's called, and I don't want to be offensive. Not is it a shrine? I guess
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what the
I don't know
right
what it's called.
term for that
No,
is either. I think shrine may be the right word, but
maybe it was
it
like a
also may be too simple.
yeah,
Or turn is like kind of like an altar almost, but altar is
not the
not the
right
right
word either.
word either.
But it's
But
like
it's
a.
just
But they went and saw her where her picture was with
mhm,
all the other ancestors. And just kind of
yeah.
took it all in before their dad got there.
And then they
Oh,
learn the actual story of like what was going on with like the voice the dad was
right.
hearing, how
Hmm.
it's like this like interdimensional evil that's trapped behind a gate, and it always calls out to somebody
Hmm.
who tries to get them free him because
Hmm.
the dad had the 10 rings. That's why the entity chose to
Wants
call
it.
out
Hmm.
to uh
His dad,
yeah,
Wenwu.
which was it's also something that I found was really interesting is even though it was called The Legend of the 10 Rings,
Hmm.
the movie really didn't dive into what the 10 rings were.
Right. It just kind of showed us what it did and why this being was attracted to
Yeah.
it. Um,
Which
and
is which like is fine because I don't think that they should have done that. I think that would have taken away from the movie. It's just interesting to me that they called it The Legend of the 10 Rings when they
yeah,
didn't dive into the legend of like
the 10 rings, right,
of the 10 Rings. So
right.
like if they have another if this movie has a sequel where they directly address the 10 Rings,
Which is
I don't
almost
know
what they
what they
set
would
up.
call that. Yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of what they were
yeah.
setting up.
It's
It was
exactly
weird.
what they set up. I don't know what they're gonna call it then.
I don't know. Oh, maybe it's like more like Legend of the 10 Rings, like the society, and not the.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's what it was
It probably is.
referring to.
I still don't know what they would call the sequel movie though.
Me neither. Um,
Shang-Chi and and the Legend of the 10 Rings, but actually the rings this time, not the organization.
that's the whole movie title, and that's the
Yes.
title of this
Okay.
episode. Um, uh, so then I think it's about that time they pull in, or it's the next day they get ready
Yes.
for the war. The war starts happening.
Yeah.
Nothing really. That battle's not really all that significant if you think about it.
Yeah. No, there's just like the dad comes up. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go there and unlock," and they're like, "No." And there's the huge fight scene. What I don't like about that is because you're right. Like,
It was a
they,
distraction.
yeah, like they could have easily won or whatever. But like, you think they would have had more people who are guarding the gate that they don't want unlocked? Because nobody's guarding it. They're all up front, and that's the one thing that still bugs
No,
me. Is like,
no,
why would they not put
no.
more people back there?
The dragon's guarding it.
Not
Kind of,
well.
kind of, kind of.
The dragon doesn't even come up until after
Yeah, that's true.
Shang-Chi's dad is already
All up
like
there, but
over there.
so
No
that
one's
so
no one's trying to
right.
stop like anyone from getting over there, even though they know someone is coming for
Hmm.
the sole reason that they want to go over there. And
Hmm.
they just like let Shang-Chi go over and try to fight him by himself. And it's like, why would you not send more
Right.
people to guard the thing that you've spent your entire lives protecting?
Right. So anyway, it's basically this battle is a big distraction. So Wenwu can get
Yeah.
past them. Wenwu dies, and then there's a small kind of confrontation between him and Shang-Chi, and he just beats the shit out of Shang-Chi, and basically tells him why he's a
Yeah.
failure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then
It
he
was kind
gets
of
blasted, not blasted. He
yeah.
blasts him into the water.
I can't remember exactly what happened there, but essentially Shang-Chi was like, I'm not fighting you. Or maybe he was fighting him, but the dad's like,
Hmm.
okay, whatever, just bam,
And then
knocks
he's in
him
the
all the
water.
way into the ocean.
And then I like the way he used the 10 rings to jump over there. That was an interesting use of
Yeah.
that. So he jumps over to the portal and just starts punching it with all 10 rings on one arm, and starts punching it. And starts letting these demons out.
Yes.
And then in the
That was like a neat scene.
yeah,
I like that he got over to the door and was able to try to open it there. Again, I
mhm,
wish there were more guards, so it
yeah,
felt like more of a struggle for him to get over there and try to
hmm,
unleash this creature.
yeah.
But he starts to punch it. All the little minions of this entity come out and they start to steal souls.
So that it can become stronger.
Oh,
The big
that was one of the
entity.
things that bugged me a lot. Is there's like one scene where they're all lined up to fight, and like Trevor is out there in armor in like the very front, and it's like, why?
They just
Why did
needed
you put
everyone.
Trevor
Well,
out there?
yeah, well, I was gonna get to that. They're fighting each other, and they look up and think, "Oh, they're out. We should stop fighting each other." And then the one guy's like, "Why?" And then the blade fist,
Uh, Razor
razor
Fist.
fist. That's right. Razor fist is like,
Yeah,
but why? And then like one of them gets him, like with one of his men. He's like, ah, that's why.
yeah,
Um, and so then they all get armed. Then Wenwu's the 10 rings. They all get armed with the dragon weapons because that's the only thing that can
hmm
kill him. Um,
yes,
the dragon scale weapons, and then they start battling that. And then it's at that time I think that Shang Chi is like saved by the dragon.
Yeah,
Like that,
the
and
dragon takes him up out of the ocean or the non-ocean,
the
the
river
lake,
lake thing.
probably. Yeah,
Um, and he didn't control the dragon, but anyway, so he confronts
the dad.
his dad with the dragon
And
flying in the
then
air.
because like all the minions are out there, all stealing souls.
Hmm.
Goes and confronts his dad. And they have a really great conversation,
Hmm.
and at the end, the dad kind of understands
Hmm.
finally after all this time. It looks like things are about to be resolved.
And then,
And okay, I will say this is the ending that I would have liked.
yeah,
Is just they reconcile, conflict stops,
they beat the
they
dragon.
leave.
Oh,
You
not the
know, they
dragon.
like what?
They beat the big soul sucker.
No, no, no. Like the Soul Sucker
Oh
isn't
no.
even out yet. Like
Oh,
I did not want the Soul Sucker to
to get
come
out.
out.
Gotcha.
I want it to end there. Like just the potential of having this bad thing happen, but it doesn't actually uh, take place.
Hmm.
And I was like, that would be an ending that I would like a lot. Because Marvel, so often, they'll escalate things unnecessarily to this huge, like, take things from street level, even, like the mythical side of the street, to like this huge, giant conflict. And they
Yeah.
really did not need to do that here necessarily. So, like, this would be the perfect ending. Then you can have the dad trying to uh, make amends
Hmm.
for all of the evil that he caused, and actually have there be a redemption arc for the dad, and then Shang-Chi can become like a hero in his own right.
And get the ring, like inherit the rings or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So of course it was like, oh, this would be a perfect ending. Of course, the Soul Sucker gets just enough power to bust out of there and then wrecks his dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, Rex's dad.
So, and his dad's redemption is done by giving Shang-Chi the 10 rings and being like, hey, you got this.
Hmm.
And that's just it. So
And
then there's this
then
whole giant battle that I don't necessarily. There's not a whole lot of detail to get into with the
no,
giant
it's
battle. I don't
dragon
think.
versus giant soul sucker.
Yeah, with Shang-Chi, on the back of this
Hmm.
dragon here.
And then he's
Uh,
able to he sends the 10 rings down its throat, I think.
yeah, because
And
like what happens is there's at one point where the Soul Sucker is about to suck out the dragon soul, and
hmm.
Katie fires in an arrow that goes right through the Soul Sucker's throat, making
Hmm.
it stop sucking out this dragon soul.
Hmm.
Which I mean, talk about the potential for a what if episode there, because we're making that shot was like a 1 in a million.
Yeah. What if Katie
Um,
missed the soul
yeah,
sucker?
it wouldn't be an interesting episode because it would just be like, oh,
Everyone died.
they lost.
It's like SpongeBob. He's like, one time there was a soul sucker. He was so ugly, everyone died. The end.
So yeah, so they're able to defeat the Soul Sucker. He just dies, right? Or does he get trapped back behind the wall?
No, he just dies. I think they killed him.
Yeah.
I think like 'cause I
So
think I think he sent the rings into the throat and then called them
all right,
back and then like ripped them apart.
nice,
I
nice, nice,
believe
nice.
that's what happened. Don't quote me on it, or do.
So yeah, then anyway, it ends.
I love the way it
That's
ended. That was a great. They went back to the to have dinner with their friends.
yes,
That
yeah.
was so
So
good.
all that gets wrapped up, resolved. They go back to have dinner with their friends. They're just telling their friends all about this in like a public place,
Yeah,
and their friends are
usually
like, "What?
you no, I was gonna say usually like superheroes like to keep it low key,
Oh yeah."
but they
Did
just like
not keep it
guess
low key
what?
at all.
Guess what I
Which
did?
I was like, "Oh my god!" Just imagine overhearing that conversation, being like, "What is going on?" But then it won't even do anything if they did keep it low key because then just Wong just appears in the restaurant and is like, "Hey, you come with me."
Well, but before that, she's like their friends like guys, stop making fun of me. Like I understand what happened to work the other day was a little
Yeah.
too crazy. I know this didn't happen. You guys can stop making fun of me. And then, like you said, Wong appears out of his portal, and they're just like, "What?"
Yep.
And he's like, "You're Shang-Chi, right?" And he's like, "Yes." He's like, "You two come with me." And then they go
The-
with and then they go with Wong, and then that's where the credits happen.
yes, that's where the credits start. And honestly, that was a fantastic movie up to that point, but
Hmm.
the post credit scene or the mid
Well, the mid-credit scene
credit
first.
scene. Oh wait, yeah, because there was a
There
post
was a
credit scene
post-credit,
too,
and then
right?
there's a mid-credit. But the
But
mid-credit
what
scene was basically,
I don't
you
remember the
find
post.
out we're back at
Twist.
the Ten Rings compound, and we basically find out that
Oh,
Shang-Chi's sister is taking over the Ten Rings.
which was kind
Wait,
of like a weird twist for me. Which like
right?
I like that twist, but it kind of felt it was like why is she just bad now?
Yeah. Well, and then it says the Ten Rings will return. So I think his sister might
Yes.
be a big bad for the second Shang-Chi movie.
Yeah.
Because
Probably.
I hope he gets at least a trilogy because this movie
It
was
kind of
so damn
feels
good.
like a little forced. I feel like where it ended,
Possibly.
him and his sister should be on better terms here. Where
Well, they may
I
not
don't
even be
think she
bad
should
guys.
be. I don't know because they might be good now, but it's just the way it was kind of framed with her on like the throne or whatever.
Not good, morally gray.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
I'm excited.
Because when Shang-Chi was talking to Wong or whatever, talking
Hmm.
to somebody, maybe it was the couple they were eating with
Hmm.
earlier on, but he was like, "Yeah, my sister's is like is dismantling the Ten Rings organization."
Yeah.
So she obviously told him she was doing something, and now she's doing pretty much the exact opposite
Yeah.
of that thing.
I mean, she was never. I mean, she was. I'd kind of always been early in this movie. She's kind of always a morally great character. She was never like
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
guy specifically. She
I'm really
just
hoping she
did
doesn't turn out to be just blatantly bad, though.
right.
I'm really hoping that there is some depth to her role.
Hmm.
Because that's one thing I didn't like about the movies. I wish they gave more to her.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, it felt like through the story of the movie, they should have been more equals, but
Hmm.
Shang-Chi was definitely the main character. And it's like,
Hmm.
why couldn't you have had them kind of both be at that same
That's
level?
almost. It's almost like reflected in how they were trained.
Yeah,
Almost like how
yeah.
she was kind of put off the side, and Shang Chi was the main focus.
Which
Maybe
is really
maybe
funny that
that's why.
Marvel's kind of making this movie of like, oh, her not being the main focus was bad. Anyway, here's a movie where she's not the main focus.
Yeah, but and then the post credit scene. We're with
Yes,
Wong in the
yes.
library,
Really like
and
that.
there's a conference call with with Hulk or not Hulk with Bruce Banner
Bruce Banner, who's not Professor Hulk or Smart
anymore.
Hulk, whatever they want to call
Nope,
him now, which is really cool because I like seeing Bruce Banner
me too.
as Bruce Banner.
And
I really miss that.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that was really cool. That
Yeah,
was honest because we haven't seen Captain Marvel since I know Endgame wasn't that long ago, but still, I hated her
it
role in
was
like
yeah.
Endgame.
Hmm.
So I'm really glad that we're seeing her back again with
But she has long
more of
hair
a
again.
role. Yeah. What?
She's long hair again.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was great too. It's like why did they give her short hair for only one movie?
Not even a whole movie, more like 20 minutes.
Yeah. But she's back and she has more of a defined role, unlike
Yeah,
her
going
role
forward. Yeah.
in like Endgame. So I really feel like that her arc will kind of be restored now. I'm
Yes.
hoping so.
They. This is like a really important end credit scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it
Because
was super important.
they're trying to look at the 10 rings and they're like, we have no idea what these rings are.
They just know they're old.
Yeah. And the whole thing was like they've sent out a beacon or a signal to somewhere, and we don't know what the beacon is, what it means, who it could be talking to. They're like, it's not Kree, it's not Skrull, it's not Shatari,
Hmm.
it's not. I don't remember all this stuff that like they
Right.
named, but so it was really great to see them all working together.
Hmm.
Still, I like love the line where Captain Marvel's like, "Oh, I I need to go, but like Bruce can give you my number," and then she hung up, and Bruce was like,
I don't
"I
have
don't
your
have her
number.
number. She does this a lot." It was so funny.
Yeah, that was great.
And just seeing like Wong working with everybody because we saw in Endgame like Captain Marvel would be involved with the Avengers team, but we never
Hmm.
saw Wong involved at
Hmm.
all. So
Yeah.
I'm
It'll
really
be
hoping to see
uh-huh.
more of their dynamic, like Wong, Bruce, and
Captain Marvel. Yeah.
what's Captain Marvel's actual
Carol Danvers.
Carol. Yeah, I'm hoping to see more of them three working together
Hmm.
specifically.
Yeah, because they're like the brains of the operation, but like no, the behind the scenes of the operation.
Yeah, like they have one foot in like each world.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, Bruce spent how many years? Or I guess it wasn't that long. It was long for him, but it wasn't long in the MCU terms. But like he spent a long time in space. Remember, because he was at he was with the
Yes,
Grand Master. Is that his name?
I think so.
Something like that. But like he was there for a long time.
Yeah,
He was a
yeah.
champion in a giant game held for
Hmm.
one person's like I don't something, and he was there when
Hmm.
Thanos attacked Midgard or Asgard. Like
Yeah,
he's got his
both
foot
Asgard
there. Hmm.
and Midgard.
Yeah, that's true. Um, so yeah, that was interesting. It was an interesting group of people to see, but like it makes sense as to
Yeah.
why it's them.
And it's weird that they've kind of just because like it was kind of neat that they were like, hey, because like what they could have easily done is just taken the 10 rings away from him, but they
Hmm.
were like, no, hold on to these. You are one of us now. Your life's about to get crazy here.
Yeah, which
I
hints at him being an
really like
Avenger,
that.
which
Yeah.
is awesome. I'm
Oh yeah,
so excited for what we have to see from Simu Liu
yeah.
going forward.
Oh yeah.
He's ecstatic about being in the MCU. I don't think
Mhm.
anyone's more excited than him.
Yeah. What
Um,
I did not realize until I saw a bunch of stuff after the movie was like he was in
oh
like a bunch of
yeah,
stock. He was in a bunch of like stock photos and stuff because that was the only way that he could make money was just giving his
okay,
likeness away for stock photos.
interesting.
So there are a lot of stock photos just of him like in an office space,
That's funny.
and now he's like, I went from this to being a superhero
Like a
in the
major
MCU.
player. He's gonna be a
Yeah,
major player moving forward. I'm very excited. I'm excited for the Marvel fandom and him. I mean,
yeah, oh yeah.
we haven't got like I'm not saying that the other people before him haven't been passionate, but like he's like super passionate about this character,
Mhm.
which is always awesome to see.
Yeah, and this movie got me very excited for Marvel going forward. Like,
Hmm.
because with like a Black Widow, I was thinking that movie would do a lot more, but it really didn't get me excited for the future of the MCU in
Hmm.
hardly any regard. But this movie got me really excited
Yeah, yeah.
for the MCU
And I
moving
mean,
forward.
not to mention, this is our first new character since Ant Man. Like
Oh
I know
wow,
we technically Spider Man is new to the MCU, but like everyone knows Spider Man. This is our
yeah,
first new character since Ant Man, so
you're right.
I thought that was cool.
Wow,
And this is the first real movie in Phase 4. Finally, after
yeah,
years of waiting, like literally
you're right.
years
It's
of
true,
waiting, like they announced this back in 2019.
man.
Here we are.
And this was a great way to kind of
Oh
start
yeah,
it off.
oh yeah, and I know Marvel did a lot of advertising with comparing it to Iron Man because we know the obvious connection there, but also Iron Man kicked off Phase 1 and he's kicking off Phase 4, like
Interesting.
so, and with as a new character. So yeah,
So yeah,
I'm so excited for the MCU moving forward. So
all in all, fantastic
great movie.
movie here.
Hmm. Agreed.
Fantastic movie.
But
Now we just gotta wait for
what's
the
next?
wait. Yeah, it's the Eternals that comes out next,
Yes.
right?
Oh, I'm
And
so
then Hawkeye releases
after that.
after that, right?
Um,
Okay, okay.
real quick, I think the Ten Rings might be linked in the Eternals,
Yeah,
possibly. I mean, it's old. The Eternals are old.
that would be really interesting there.
Yeah, that's like a completely new like. I don't even know
Yeah.
what to expect from the Eternals, to be
The
honest.
Eternals is like unprecedented because the first new team, because
Yeah, yeah.
this is the first new character that we've gotten since Ant Man, but Eternals will be the first new team we've gotten since Guardians of the Galaxy back in 2014.
Actually, since Inhumans in 2017. I'm kidding. No one likes that movie.
Inhumans.
No one likes that.
Sorry, I've scrubbed my brain of anything to do with the Inhumans. You have to remind me what that is here.
No, I don't. It's okay. We don't need to worry about the Inhumans. No, but cinematically and like within the MCU, yeah, this is first team since 2014.
Yeah,
And I mean, they did such a great job with that. And this is very different stylistically. Like it's
oh
not,
yeah.
like
It'll
punch
take
in the
place on
face
Earth,
comedy.
so
Not
yeah.
punch in the face comedy. This is like a much more elegant
Mhm.
team. At least the way that it looks
Yeah,
like it's gonna be shot. Because Chloe Zhao, she looks like she's done an amazing job in this movie. So
so
yeah, that's
yeah,
what we have to look
we'll see.
forward to.
We will
Um,
see.
ne- Next week we promise we'll have a podcast. We're gonna look at
Oh yeah.
whatever news happens, Star Wars Visions, and What If.
Oh yes, because remember this was the very special extra like bonus episode we wanted to include here, even though
It's
it is now kind of delayed our schedule as a whole. Just still think of this as an extra treat.
yeah.
So
So
from us to you, Happy holidays.
It is spooky season.
Yes,
But
it is.
I think that wraps it up
Happy
for us.
spooky holidays.
Yes, I think that wraps it up for us. Unlike last time, I'm not going to forget. Don't forget to follow us. Or that might have been a different show. Don't forget to follow us at Chip Roasting. Subscribe to Brennan wherever he is on the thing, because I don't know.
I'm running this tiny box on the side right now. You're probably also in a tiny box on
I am.
your screen too.
But
Yeah.
follow him. Or no, subscribe to him at Not Brennan. Subscribe to me at Wolfgator Entertainment. And subscribe wherever you listen.
Instagram at
Chip Roasting,
Chip Roasting, yes.
which I said already.
Yeah, but you didn't say Instagram specifically, so I'm just specifying.
Sorry. And
We do
subscribe.
have Instagram. I don't think it's ever updated anymore here.
No. But follow us anyway. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to on your favorite podcast platform. And we will see you guys next week. Peace.
See you next time. Peace.